I do know you address his life in your book and his impact on Christian spirituality.
Yes. So, Cesar Chavez, as your listeners will know, is probably arguably the most famous Latino, right, in the United States. He was a leader of the United Farm Workers Movement, along with Dolores Huerta, and along with Larry Itliong, who was a Filipino farm worker leader. And the United Farm Workers was really famous, right, in the 1960s and 70s, um, because it was the first time that farm workers were able to organize themselves and be successful at it, right, and really kind of make some real grounds and concessions. And so, he's like an icon in the 1960s. There's like a stamp about him and all this kind of stuff. But most people have never heard about the role of faith in his life, the role of faith, Christian faith, right? So they've never heard, for example, that Cesar Chavez said, the only justice is Christ. But they've never heard
Hmm.
that he said that the church is one powerful, important expression of God on earth, right? And no movement should ignore the power of the church, right? Things like that, right? And
Beautiful.
people did not know also that what made his organizing so powerful was that he fused popular Mexican Catholicism. He fused that with Catholic social teachings about justice, with community organizing principles, right? And he brought those three together, and that's what made his movement so distinct and so powerful. Those famous march, right, to Sacramento from Delano took place during Lent, and they arrived
Oh,
on Easter morning and celebrated communion on Easter morning
oh,
on the
beautiful.
last day of the march. And the altar that they used was a farm worker truck.
Oh,
So beautiful, right?
beautiful.
So beautiful, right? His famous fast, right? Um, that when the Kennedys came and broke his fast with him, right, was very famous. But it wasn't just a hunger strike; it was a fast. And Cesar Chavez said that this is a spiritual fast that I'm doing, right, to purify myself, right? Um, Things like that, right? Like um, at the very core of the farm workers movement was Christian faith, explicit, right? And I believe I'm biased, but I believe that was its unique power. And so I try to tell that story about the role of faith in the life of Cesar Chavez in the book as well.
That's so cool. Why do you think that we don't hear that story? I mean, I never heard that story about Cesar Chavez and the role of faith in his life.
I think like it depends upon the audience. I like so in many and I say this, I'm a community organizer, right? And in the world of community organizing, faith is oftentimes, not all the time, but it's oftentimes kind of looked down upon. And that's just a fact,
Hmm.
right? So many people, when they write about his organizing, they just, in a very kind of biased way, just leave all that out, right? That's part of
Hmm.
it. In ethnic studies, same thing, right? I mean, my own department is called the Cesar Chavez Department of Chicana, Chicano, and Central American Studies. But the role of faith in his life is just, I mean, it's almost never discussed, right? And so I think in those circles, it's that bias. I think in white Christian circles, whether Catholic or Protestant, Chavez was viewed as a rabble rouser, right? So even to this day, I've been told if you go to the Central Valley, right, and speak with middle class white folks, they'll be like, "Oh, Chavez, oh, that he was a horrible person," right? So I think that his faith story has not translated into kind of mainstream Christian life. And then you have, of course, within Protestant circles, a strong anti-Catholic bias, right? So because he was Roman Catholic, I mean, that would just be a hill too high for most people to climb, in
Mm.
Protestant circles as well.
Hey, thank you so much for checking out this video clip from the Delgado podcast. To get more videos like this, simply subscribe here on YouTube. You can also download the full episode of each show on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or your favorite podcast player. Take care.